engineer. I want to succumb to peer pressure all of my life.
I'm going to be a best-selling author and win the National Book Award.
I'm going to be a marine biologist.
Wait, I take mine back. I'm going to be a biomedical engineer.
I think I'll be the president.
I'm going to be Secretary of State.
World-class chef, right here.
Race car driver.
Artist. Paleontologist.
Film director.
Surgeon.
Teacher. Scientist.
Olympian.
I'm going to be the boss.
And here is the Writer's Almanac for Thursday. It's the 14th of November, 2013. It was on this day, 1832, the world's first streetcar named the John Mason began operation in New York City, running between Prince Street and 14th Street in Lower Manhattan. Built by John Stevenson, who was 23, and who modeled it on a railway car, but set it lower so the floor was in between the wheels, making it easier to climb aboard. The driver sat up front on an open platform, controlled the horses, had a brake handle to stop the streetcar. The conductor sat in back, collected the money, and rang a bell to signal when to stop, when to go. By 1870, New Yorkers made 100 million trips a year in horse-drawn streetcars, and by 1880 there were at least 150,000 horses in the city, each horse producing about 22 pounds of manure a day, and the city absolutely stank. But the subway came in, and the automobile, and in 1917, horse-drawn streetcars ceased to operate in New York City. It was on this day, 1851, Harper & Brothers published Moby Dick by Herman Melville, about Captain Ahab obsessed with hunting down the great white sperm whale that took his leg. The book had been published first in Great Britain, and the British publisher accidentally left out the ending of the book, the epilogue, which meant there was no explanation of how the narrator, Ishmael, lived to tell the tale. It seemed like he died in the end with everyone else on the ship. So the reviews from Britain were harsh, at a time when Americans tended to defer to British critical opinion. A lot of American newspaper editors reprinted reviews from Britain. Melville was counting on Moby Dick to bring in enough money to pay off his debts, but the book flopped partly because of those harsh British reviews, and Melville never fully recovered from the disappointment. And it's the birthday of Astrid Lindgren, born near Vimmerby, Sweden, 1907, who wrote about Pippi Longstocking, 9-year-old girl, no parents, lives in a red house at the edge of a Swedish village with her horse and her pet monkey, Mr. Nilsson. She has red pigtails, she wears one black stocking and one brown, and she eats whole chocolate cakes and sleeps with her feet on the pillow, and she's the strongest girl in the world. Here's a poem for today by Louis Jenkins entitled Mockingbird. I remember when I was a child I had a pair of canaries in a cage in my bedroom. I had the idea that I would raise and sell canaries. I asked one of my sisters if she remembered them. She remembered that they were parakeets, not canaries. I asked another sister. She said she didn't remember any canaries, but she remembered how mean I was to her. My youngest sister doesn't remember having birds, but thinks that we had a pet rabbit. I don't remember that. My brother thinks we had a pet crow that talked. I don't remember a crow, but I remember we had a mynah bird for a while that said, "Hello, sweetie pie," but he belonged to someone else. My mother says that she would never have allowed birds or any other animals in the house. I remember how the female canary ignored the male, but chirped plaintively to a mockingbird that sang outside my window all summer long. A poem by Louis Jenkins, Mockingbird, from Tin Flag, new and selected prose poems published by Will-o'-the-Wisp Books and used by permission here on the Writer's Almanac. Supported by the Poetry Foundation, you can turn your iPhone or Android into a virtual poetry library with the Poetry Foundation's Poetry app. Available to everyone online at poetryfoundation.org/mobile. Produced by Joy Biles with assistance from Kathy Roach. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.
This is the Composer's Datebook for November 14th. I'm John Zek. When Professor Harold Hill in The Music Man talks about the time when W.C. Handy, the great creator, and John Philip Sousa all came to town on the very same day, that day must have been November 14th, because in America's music history, this was a day of synchronicity. For starters, it's the birthday of Aaron Copland, who was born in New York City on today's date in 1900. And then there's all that happened on November 14th in the life of Leonard Bernstein. Here's how Bernstein himself explained it. I never forget a Copland birthday, because two of the most important events of my life happened on November 14th. The first in 1937, when Aaron and I met for the first time. Now, I worried and complained terrifically back then, and always took my troubles to Aaron, who would tell me to stop whining. He seemed to have such complete confidence in me that he didn't show a bit of surprise when on Sunday, November 14th, 1943, I made a dramatic success by filling in for the ailing Bruno Walter and conducting the New York Philharmonic. All Aaron's predications came true, and on his birthday. As if that weren't enough, in 1954, again on Copland's birthday, Leonard Bernstein appeared on a live omnibus television broadcast, presenting Beethoven's draft sketches for the opening of his Fifth Symphony. Bernstein's TV debut was also a smash success, and led directly to his subsequent series of televised young persons concerts that brought classical music to millions of Americans coast to coast. Copland and Bernstein, a powerful double play. For more on other composers as well, go to our website, composersdatebook.org. Composer's Datebook is a production of APM, American Public Media, and the American Composers Forum, reminding you that all music was once new.
Welcome back to Studio 27 on this Thursday morning, and it bugs me about modern-day theme songs. That was the theme to NCIS Los Angeles. Like the show, but it's part of the reflection of our short attention span in this day and age, in which theme songs lack, how do I put it? Lack any enthusiasm. Well, they have enthusiasm, but they have no sacredness to them. I mean, it's not like the long, drawn-out themes like you'd hear in the original Battlestar Galactica. That one's like 2 or 3 minutes, longer than some movies. Anyway, get to today in history in just a moment. Celebrity birthdays in a few seconds. This just in, I just saw this tweet from CNN come through about 10 minutes ago. And breaking news. Don't have much details yet, other than the White House plans administrative, let me reiterate that, White House plans administrative, not legislative, methods to fix Obamacare. That's according to a senior Democratic source telling CNN. So again, the White House is planning administrative, but not legislative means to fix the Affordable Care Act. Because they know if it would go back to the legislative process, it would probably get overturned. And the president isn't going to let that happen now, even though I think he should. This whole thing needs to be revamped, but that's neither here nor there. What it is time for, though, are things you need to know in terms of birthdays. So let me load the birthday music, and I'll go ahead and get this Today in History segment going here right after that. So let me load that, and away we go.
Damn it, Jim, what the hell's the matter with you? Other people have birthdays. Why are we treating yours like a funeral?
Bones, I don't want to be lectured.
Whoops, I pulled that down a little bit too fast. That's what she said! Thank you, Colonel Potter. Now, let's take a look at celebrity birthdays for today, and a reminder, if you're celebrating your birthday today, happy birthday, and you celebrate your birthday with these famous people. They include Laura Giacomo from Saving Grace and Just Shoot Me. Well, she's 52 today. Reverend Run of Run DMC is 49. Patrick Warburton of Seinfeld fame, Rules of Engagement, is 49. And Josh Duhamel of Las Vegas and Transformers is 41. Now, let's go back in time, shall we? So I have room for one passenger in the time machine, and I've chosen you. Yeah, you. Come on up here. Go ahead. Get in the passenger seat. I know it's a DeLorean, but if you're going to go back in time, let's just do it in style, okay? So, put the key in the ignition, turn on the time circuits, and start the engine. And shut off the radio. And we go back to November 14th, 1968. November 14th, 1968. And on that date in history, Yale University announced it was going co-educational. That's right, Yale University went co-ed on this date in 1968. Apparently the male students were getting very, very lonely. Now, for more of Today in History, before APM Market News, here's the Associated Press.
November 14th, 1940. One of the most devastating bombing raids during World War II. Hundreds of Nazi Germany's warplanes destroy most of the English town of Coventry. 1851. Herman Melville's novel Moby Dick, the tale about the pursuit of the great white whale, is published. 1889. Inspired by author Jules Verne, Nellie Bly sets out to travel around the world in less than 80 days. Bly, a reporter for the New York World, succeeds, making the trip in 72 days. 1943.
Leonard Bernstein has come out on the platform and will presently lead the Philharmonic Symphony in our national anthem.
Leonard Bernstein makes his conducting debut with the New York Philharmonic. The 25-year-old assistant conductor fills in for the ailing Bruno Walter during a nationally broadcast concert. And 1900. Aaron Copland, one of America's leading composers of the 20th century, is born in New York City. Today in History, November 14th. Camille Bohannon, The Associated Press.
I'll alert the media. I'll alert the media.
This is Across Our Wide Missouri with Bob Critic.
The Democrats met that day to set up their leadership for the next legislative session. The president pro tem was not seeking re-election, and neither was the majority floor leader. The chief candidate went into the caucus with enough votes to win the seat of president pro tem, and when the meeting was over, Earl Blackwell had the party's backing. With the majority in the state Senate, it was tantamount to election to the job. He and the Young Turks, as they were called, they'd become affiliated with him, swept into the Senate leadership, and with them 14 months of stormy legislative history was to come. Story in a minute.
Hi friends, Joe Hafner here. Are you interested in buying, selling, trading, or renting a house? Or maybe you're in the market for buying or selling a car, or perhaps selling or giving away clothes, furniture, or electronics. Well, I can help you out. Just email me, Joe, at Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. That's Gunther'sHouseOfFriends@gmail.com. Email me today with your item and or items, and together we'll come up with a creative way to buy, sell, trade, or rent any reasonable item or service that you want. Keep in mind, though, I don't deal with the exchange of firearms, alcohol items, drugs, or anything illegal or immoral. So send me an email today at Gunther's